just $30 each. Click, call, or visit a Spectrum store today.
We said we'd never break the 3-second rule. Never do that. And never become a minivan mom.
Hey, Chris.
As parents, we say never a lot, but never happens. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Good morning, I'm Bree Driscoll, and here's your Spectrum News in 90. Evacuation orders are beginning to be lifted in the Carolinas after 175 wildfires started to burn across 4,200 acres this weekend. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster declared a state of emergency Sunday to support wildfire suppression efforts across the state. European leaders seek to take control of Ukraine's negotiations with Russia. They also look to repair the relationship between Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Donald Trump after a fiery exchange at the Oval Office Friday. The White House is just hours away from imposing new tariffs on Canada and Mexico. 25% tariffs on imports from the two U.S. neighbors are set to begin on Tuesday on most items from Canada and all Mexican goods worth more than $800. Trump also plans to double the 10% universal tariff charged on imports from China.
Nominated for 6 Academy Awards, Anora has won 5 Oscars tonight.
Anora was the big winner at this year's Academy Awards, the film taking home 5 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay. Adrian Brody won Best Actor in a Leading Role for his role in The Brutalist, and Anora's Mikey Madison winning Best Actress in a Leading Role. That's your Spectrum News in 90.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Temperatures continue to stay pretty mild across the southern plains. We have highs in the low 70s, low 80s in a few spots across Texas, which is where we have a few showers and isolated thunderstorms in the forecast. But our risk for severe weather is really going to start to ramp up as we get into Tuesday and our Wednesday. We're going to break down the potential threats we could see coming up in 10 minutes on your weather on the Ones.
Everyone, I'm Bree Driscoll, and thanks so much for joining us here on Spectrum News. Today is Monday, March 3rd. Happening now, more than 175 wildfires are burning in North and South Carolina. Some evacuation orders have been lifted, others are still in effect. The flames broke out over the weekend due to dry conditions and gusty winds. One fire in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, doubled in size. It spread to 1,200 acres and is now 30% contained. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster declared a state of emergency Sunday to support the wildfire response effort. Our Jenna Enoch has the latest.
Take a look at this video captured from the window of an airplane flying into Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You can see massive flames below as wildfires scorch that region. The Carolina Forest Fire, just north of Myrtle Beach, doubled in size to 1,600 acres and is now 30% contained. But the danger is still real. The governor declaring a state of emergency Sunday to support the wildfire efforts all across the state. The fire up against 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts and extremely dry conditions, forcing the evacuation of thousands of people. Incredible amounts of smoke filled the air in South Carolina as officials issued a statewide burn across the area to prevent further spread. And in North Carolina, a brush fire in the mountains threatening parts of the Blue Ridge Mountains, just 40 miles south of Asheville. The fire burned between 400 and 500 acres as firefighters work to contain it. Jenna Enoch, Spectrum News.
European leaders are pledging their support for Ukraine after a contentious meeting Friday between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump is likely to provide more clarity about where his administration stands with Ukraine when he addresses Congress tomorrow. Our Daniel Grimes has the story from Washington.
solidarity with Ukraine.
Protests erupted in several cities over the weekend as many Americans chanted, sang, and carried signs of support for Ukraine.
I really believe that the way to fight fascism, which is what this is to stand together, to not let them divide us.
The support across the Atlantic was equally visible after the spat at the White House Friday between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky left the world wondering if U.S. assistance would continue. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer worked with European leaders on a ceasefire plan to present to the United States. They are balancing a delicate line between supporting Ukraine but not replacing the United States' role in leading the negotiation efforts. Zelensky met with Starmer on Saturday, where the UK agreed to loan Ukraine $2 billion to supply 5,000 air defense missiles. The British Prime Minister is prepared to offer more than just money.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing.
Zelensky believes he can salvage the relationship with President Trump and is still willing to sign a deal granting the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. In 24 hours, President Trump will offer his way forward when he addresses Congress. The president gave us a small glimpse into his thinking with two posts on Truth Social. The first, a clip of White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller on Fox News blasting Zelensky. And the second, a note saying Zelensky will have no choice but to accept Trump's terms. We can also expect the president to talk about immigration and the various executive actions that we've seen in the weeks he's been back in office. Now, Democrats tapped Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan to deliver their party's response. In Washington, Daniel Grimes, Spectrum News.
And we will have special live coverage of President Trump's address to Congress. Tune in tomorrow night at 8:55 Eastern, 5:55 on the West Coast, right here on Spectrum News. It will be followed by insight and analysis from our team of political experts. The White House is just hours away from imposing new tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Economists fear the move could lead to higher prices, but the Trump administration is defending them. Spectrum's Katie Streit joins us now with more on the story. Katie.
Bree, these 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada are set to begin on Tuesday. They were first proposed earlier this year, but were delayed after an agreement on border security.
President Donald Trump signed executive orders calling for tariffs on most Canadian and all Mexican goods worth more than $800. But Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says how much the United States is willing to charge is still up in the air. He says the president believes America's neighbors are making progress on border security.
He's sort of thinking about right now how exactly he wants to play it with Mexico and Canada, and that is a fluid situation.
Trump also plans to double the 10% universal tariff charged on imports from China. While the plan aims to put pressure on the other countries, experts say U.S. companies are the ones that'll have to pay the tariffs, along with consumers. Economists suggest the proposed tariffs could increase prices on shoes, electronics, groceries, and particularly vehicles.
If you can buy one before Tuesday, before the tariffs come in and we either shut down or become more expensive, you should go and do it.
Another concern is that Mexico, China, and Canada could impose retaliatory measures.
We will have a strong, unequivocal, and proportional response as Canadians expect.
But some analysts say new tariffs could be good for the U.S. in the end. The Trump administration says their leverage.
And the key would be no tariffs. But to get there, there's a negotiation. He's starting that negotiation.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells CBS Americans shouldn't worry about inflation. He says his department will appoint an affordability czar. Bree?
Katie Streit reporting for us. Thank you very much, Katie. Coming up here on Spectrum News, celebrating Hollywood's biggest night. We'll take a look at the memorable moments and tell you who took home the gold at the Oscars.
Weather can be beautiful, inconvenient, and at times, powerful. And it affects everything we do. At Spectrum News Plus, our weather experts update you with the information and the context you need so you can better plan your day. And we do it every 10 minutes. We're the calm in the storm. Weather on the Ones on Spectrum News Plus, exclusively on Spectrum. And get your weather anytime on the Spectrum News app.
I really am in the middle of nowhere. Every day is different. Chores, come on, homeschooling, and then I fit in the rug business. I just got a new batch of rugs that I'd love to show you. I have a website, and a lot of what I do is sharing my home life. Mommy's leaving. Reliable, high-speed internet is the foundation of our business. Spectrum was great. They went out of their way to make sure that I was okay and I was taken care of. Shoo! And that's the awesomeness of having Spectrum.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ravel Carpenter with your Weather on the Ones forecast. Certainly has been pretty dry of late across the southeastern United States, and anytime you have dry conditions with low humidity and gusty winds, your fire danger increases, and that was the case all across South Carolina, specifically around the Horry County region, where we have a particularly large wildfire that endangered some homes, led to some evacuations over the course of the weekend. Certainly was a scary situation just to the north of Myrtle Beach, but the wildfires as of this morning are around 1,600 acres and only about 30% contained, so we still have a ways to go, and wind should start to die down over the course of the day today. But this led to a statewide burn ban all across the state, and of course this was fueled by low humidity and gusty winds, but conditions should be a bit more favorable for firefighters to help contain some of that, and we do have some much needed rainfall on the way as we get towards Wednesday as well. So things are looking a bit more promising across South Carolina, but for our severe weather threat today, it's going to start to diminish across the Central Plains as a weaker system continues to progress to the east. It is going to lose a lot of that energy as it works its way into northern Louisiana. But this is just an appetizer for what's to come as we get into the day on Tuesday and Wednesday. Stronger storm system going to develop just to the west, which will bring us an increased risk for some strong to severe thunderstorms. So this level 2 slight risk across Oklahoma into parts of Texas is actually for later tonight into early Tuesday morning. Certainly going to be an active start to your day if you live in the Central Plains, but not a big risk for severe weather by any means. Damaging winds will be the primary concern with any severe weather, along with the threat for some flooding. There's going to be a lot of moisture associated with this particular system, which could lead to some flash flooding in some of those communities. But you'll notice over the next 24 hours or so, staying dry and quiet, clouds are in place, and then later tonight, right around midnight, we'll start to see that line of thunderstorms really starting to get going, and that's going to progress to the east and really get stronger as we work its way across the southeast. So severe weather threat is going to ramp up as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're going to break down those threats coming up in 10 minutes on your Weather on the Ones.
Here's a look at what you need to know. Some evacuation orders have been lifted. Others are still in effect as crews battle more than 175 wildfires in the Carolinas. European leaders seek to take control of Ukraine's negotiations with Russia. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Donald Trump had a fiery exchange in the Oval Office Friday, halting discussions between the two countries. And new tariffs on Canada and Mexico are set to begin tomorrow. President Donald Trump is proposing a 25% duty on all imports from the two countries, along with a 10% tariff on energy products. And that's a look at what you need to know this morning. Tensions rise in the Middle East as Israel now says it will block aid going into Gaza until Hamas agrees to a ceasefire extension. Phase 1 of the internationally mediated ceasefire agreement expired this weekend. Spectrum's Nicole Griffin is following the latest.
A ceasefire agreement that put a stop to nearly 15 months of fighting between Israel and Hamas is now in jeopardy. The first of 3 phases of that agreement expired Saturday, with Israel saying it will block aid going into Gaza until Hamas agrees to a ceasefire extension.
There will be no free lunches. If Hamas thinks that the ceasefire can continue or that it can benefit from the terms of Phase A without us receiving hostages, it is deeply mistaken.
A Hamas spokesperson called the move, quote, cheap blackmail. Negotiations on the second phase of the ceasefire were supposed to start a month ago, but have not happened yet. In the second phase, Hamas could release dozens of hostages in return for an Israeli pullout from Gaza. The mother of one Israeli hostage recently learned her son is alive and wants him home.
He's been in the tunnels for the whole time. He has a ship nail in his eye, so he can't see in one eye, and that he's being starved, getting maybe a piece of bread a day, and also being chained in his legs, so he cannot move for the whole time.
Some Palestinians in Gaza would like to see the ceasefire continue and become permanent.
All issues must be resolved. Both Palestinians and Israelis long for peace and coexistence. The two-state solution is the most suitable option.
Nicole Griffin, Spectrum News.
The Vatican says Pope Francis had a good night's rest as he recovers from double pneumonia. The 88-year-old spent all day yesterday without a ventilation mask. On Friday, the Holy Father experienced a respiratory crisis that sparked fears of a new lung infection. Doctors say as of yesterday, the Pope remained stable with no fever or signs of an infection. Francis has been in a Rome hospital since February 14th. For the third straight week, Captain America: Brave New World was the most popular movie at the box office. The Marvel movie making another $15 million for a domestic total of $164 million. Last Breath, based on a harrowing real-life event, debuted in second place, earning $7.8 million. The Monkey and Paddington in Peru rounding out the top 4. Well, there were a lot of smiling faces at the Oscars last night. The show started with the Wicked stars defying gravity, and Anora takes home the top film prize for Best Picture. Our Ray Williams has a recap of Hollywood's biggest night.
And the Oscar goes to Mikey Madison.
Mikey Madison's surprise Best Actress win, ending Demi Moore's award season streak, was just one of the golden moments for Anora.
A dream come true. I'm probably going to wake up tomorrow.
The rom-com about a sex worker who weds the son of a rich Russian ruler racked up 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Director for Sean Baker.
This is my battle cry. Filmmakers, keep making films for the big screen. I know I will.
20 years after winning his first Oscar, Adrian Brody took the gold again, this time for playing a man who escapes the Holocaust for the American dream in The Brutalist.
If the past can teach us anything, it's a reminder to not let hate go unchecked.
The Oscar goes to Zoe Saldana.
It was also a history-making night for an emotional Zoe Saldana.
My mom is here. My whole family's here. I am floored.
Zoe, who plays a Mexican lawyer in Emilia Perez, became the first actress of Dominican roots to win an Oscar.
I am a proud child of immigrant parents with dreams and dignity and hardworking hands.
She also hit the record books for nabbing a clean sweep of wins at the Golden Globes, the BAFTA, and the SAG Awards.
And the Oscar goes to Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin, who won Best Supporting Actor for A Real Pain, may be getting something even more special than his first Oscar.
Oh God, I did say that. I guess I owe you a third kid. And I turned to her and I said, really, I want 4. And she turned to me, I swear to God this happened, it was just over a year ago. She said, I will give you 4 when you win an Oscar.
Some of the biggest laughs, though, came from host Conan O'Brien. And he let some of LA's first responders get in on the jokes.
Would you please read what's in the prompter? And remember, everyone in this audience has to laugh. These are heroes.
Well, our hearts go out to all of those who have lost their homes. And I'm talking about the producers of Joker 2.
But before the big awards were announced, the night started on a wickedly high note, with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo defying gravity on the stage.
Just you and I defying gravity.
A show-stopping night for Hollywood. Ray Williams, Spectrum News.
An updated spring training facility for the New York Yankees just ahead on Spectrum News. The other team benefiting from all the new perks of the multi-million-dollar upgrades.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
Starting a business is hard. You have to stay connected at all times.
As we've been growing the studio, Spectrum's been there every step of the way. I'm always able to make the phone call that I need. I'm able to shoot that text message or that email. Every vital piece of equipment that we have here uses Spectrum.
Fast, reliable internet, starting at $40 a month, backed by the Spectrum commitment to keep your business connected.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your weather on the Ones forecast. We have an active weather week across the lower 48 as a storm system gets set to work its way from the Midwest all the way to the East Coast, bringing the threat for tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, and even some large hail possibility as well. And we have a flash flood concern for parts of the Midwest and the East Coast all the way through midweek. So definitely make sure you're staying weather aware over the next couple of days, especially if you live in the Southeast. As far as temperatures go today, though, we are going to be pretty mild and above the average across the Southeast with highs in the 70s. Approaching the low 80s in parts of Texas, remaining cool in the Northeast with highs in the upper 30s up in New York. We're going to see those temperatures start to moderate across the eastern half of the U.S. by the time we get towards Tuesday, back into the middle and upper 60s from Raleigh down to Atlanta into the low 80s in Tampa. And this is going to set the stage for our storm system to work its way eastward, bringing that threat for strong to severe thunderstorms. Nothing of note across the lower 48 for the time being. We do have a weaker system working its way eastward. This is not what we're concerned about as we transition into our Tuesday and again into our Wednesday, but the threat remains a level 3 enhanced risk across portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and into Arkansas. Do keep a level 1 marginal risk for parts of Missouri and to parts of Kansas as well, but certainly the better concern and better threat for severe weather is going to be in this area in Brown, which could get upgraded to a moderate risk. We'll have to watch for that as we get closer to Tuesday with damaging winds, and this is going to be the area where we could see some large tornadoes develop as well. So this is going to be a significant storm system, and it's going to work its way eastward for parts of the mid-Atlantic, including including the Washington, D.C. area, all the way through the Carolinas into parts of Georgia. We'll keep a slight risk for severe weather. Damaging winds will be the primary concern, but a few tornadoes also can't be ruled out as well. And I mentioned before, flooding is also going to be a concern. There's a lot of moisture associated with this system, so we'll keep a risk for that to develop across portions of Arkansas through Mississippi as well. So we'll walk you through it with Futurecast, and we're going to see that moisture really starting to develop Tuesday morning. And on the colder side of the system, we are going to see some snowfall trailing the system as well. But as it continues to progress to the east, as we get towards that 4 to 6 o'clock window, that's where things are going to get very active across Louisiana into Mississippi, and the frontal system continues to work its way eastward as we get into the day on Wednesday. Strong winds could easily gust well over 60 miles per hour, so definitely make sure if you have any things that are prone to wind gusts, make sure you bring those inside. Also, make sure you download the Spectrum News app. You want to have multiple ways of receiving severe weather alerts in this particular event. This is a great tool to have, and you can download that for free.
First Lady Melania Trump will be on Capitol Hill today to highlight her support for a bill aimed at protecting Americans from deepfake and revenge pornography. The First Lady is holding a roundtable discussion while on the Hill. The legislation boosts protections for those who have had sexual images of themselves published without consent. The bill also covers so-called deepfake porn. Those are sexual images generated by artificial intelligence, again without consent. Today's event is the first time Trump will speak publicly since her husband returned to office. When the Tampa Bay Rays begin their regular season home games at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa, they will be in for a treat. The stadium just completed a massive renovation, and the timing couldn't be better for the team, whose regular stadium, Tropicana Field, was damaged during Hurricane Milton. Spectrum's Josh Rojas has a first-hand look.
When spring training ends, the Tampa Bay Rays will move into the Yankees' shiny new home clubhouse at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa. The Yankees say their new construction and renovation project has left the facility practically turnkey ready for the Rays. There's just a few minor upgrades the Rays must complete to meet Major League Baseball standards.
In the stadium itself, we have to make sure all the technologies, the tracking, the StatCast, replay is all squared away. That was done through MLB, but that will be ready for the Rays opening day.
When the Rays move into Steinbrenner Field towards the end of March, they're going to have the opportunity to make it feel like a home game as much as possible. That means covering up all the Yankees signage and replacing it with Rays logos. The Rays will have access to all of the new training facilities, kitchen, and multi-purpose meeting rooms at the stadium. But the St. Pete team must also upgrade Field 2 for the Yankees minor league team, the Tarpons, to play their home games this season.
And then on Field 2, right behind us, is where our A-ball team, the Tampa Tarpons, are going to play this year. We had to add lights to this field to make sure that that was in compliance with MLB standards.
The visitors' clubhouse must also be upgraded by the Rays, which includes expanding the square footage. Ironically, it'll become the Yankees' clubhouse when they play the Rays during the regular season.
They are a division rival. It will be weird for us to kind of be on the visiting side in our own facility, but ultimately, it was the right thing to do. That's what our owner, Hal Steinbrenner, said at the end of the day, because the Rays needed a place to play.
No doubt, Steinbrenner Field's going to be the fanciest temporary home the Rays have ever had. In Tampa, Josh Rojas, Spectrum News.
Steinbrenner Field pinch hitting for the Rays. And you can always stay connected with us here at Spectrum News by getting your national and local headlines on the go. Just download the free Spectrum News app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. I'm Bree Driscoll. Thanks so much for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
It's game time at the arena, and 20,000 fans are looking for a win. With an ultra-high-speed network and seamless Wi-Fi, fans can get in the door fast and share the game's best moments in real time. And with Spectrum Business committed to keeping them connected 100% of the time, they won't miss a second of the action. A secure, reliable connection from Spectrum Business means the fan experience is a guaranteed win.
Sometimes in life, in order to move forward, it helps to look back.
To learn from the pioneers and trailblazers.
To gain inspiration from those who came before us.
To show us what it means to act with empathy and to show that love has no labels.
Join WWE and Love Has No Labels throughout the year in celebrating people from all communities and heritages.
Because when love has no labels,
that's a love we can all fight for. Women are bad with money. That's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now we've got something to say.
Save it. It's time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Until we're no longer 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
Save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault.
Then, the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at WeSaySaveIt.org.